Um, yeah, perfect. Cool. Over to you now.
So thank you very much today for attending our session. My name is Tariq Kuzbari. I'm the Regional Director of Cybereason. I really want to thank Westcon Concert today for the invitation for the Imagine Middle East session. And the whole idea behind my session is actually to discuss how a future-proof SOC would look like and what different tools are included into that SOC. So let's go into more details, and I hope you find it useful and enjoy it. But before I really start digging into more the details, I really want to discuss a very important concept, which is the concept of chaos. So, this is a concept lots of, Hollywood have talked a lot about, they discussed it a lot. I think one of the most famous one is the butterfly, right? If you've seen that movie, it discuss about the butterfly in Japan was responsible for a hurricane in the US. I know it's a crazy analogy, but if we look in more details on the chaos, there is actually two types of chaos. The first one is what we call it the first order chaos. And it really doesn't care on what you do. It doesn't respond to your prediction. And a good example for that would be the weather. So for example, if we do a good job in predicting the weather, will not affect the result of the weather. The weather is going to stay the same. It will not be impacted based on our research and prediction. The second type of chaos, it's what we call it the second order chaos. And this is, I think it's more, infinitely less predictable compared to the first one, because it really impact and respond to our prediction. Similar when we talk about the stocks or the politics, the more we predicted and impacted, the more we really actually impact the performance of it. And if we look to these two type of chaos, where does cybersecurity really fit into that aspect? So although it might seem like IT security and cybersecurity are used interchangeably, but actually these two terms refer to do different things. So the IT security is derived risk from the cybersecurity. What do I really mean by that? If you're fighting something in nature, like a fire or a hurricane or an earthquake, usually you would deal with the impact of such case. And this is where the whole insurance in the industry is built on. So they take huge amount of premium in order to cover the losses of the few. And this is the whole, like mathematics, or what we call it actuarial math, is based on it, which is the ability to drive the risk score down. And if we look, what we do in cybersecurity, we actually do the same. However, I think in cybersecurity, we have a more intelligent opponent. So the real risk is on how they move or change their behavior and how they adapt their skills based on their need. And that's for sure always adapt and change based on their expertise, the controls that we put, and even the barriers that we put in place. And the more I talk with CISOs and industry leaders, I find very interesting, three KPIs within the industry. I think the first one, it's based on the residual risk score, which mean it's more related to IT security risk and the hygiene. For example, do I have an antivirus? Do I have a vulnerability management program check, and so forth? The second KPI that I saw successful CISO implement is more about the cyber hygiene. So it's like, how is my cyber behaviors look like? How am I responding to cyber attack? Do I respond in the same consistent quality to stop these attacks? Do I care to signal to noise ratio, or do I care more about the signal to action ratio in really refining this process? And the third KPI is efficiency, which is very human centric, focusing on getting the people to be able to do more efficiently and be able to remove the waste from the process so they can focus on the job and become more efficient into that aspect. But let's take a step back on the SOC. So SOC has really changed over the years. So It really started, emerging in 2005. It changed in 2010. The tools started to take off more with SEM, like the security event management at that time. The name, even for that segment within the industry, has changed. For example, SIM, the security information management, Gartner called it ITSM, IDC called it SVM, and so forth. And even sometimes you find people call it SIEM or SEIM. So, however, regardless on the naming, like the industry has really changed and things has evolved. But somewhere in the second stage, regulation started to require it. And within the industry, it became more and more important, but still, it's not enough. So if we look to the traditional physical crime scene, there is something we call it Lockhart principle. And this principle, wherever there is a physical crime committed, the person who commit the crime usually will bring something into the scene and would leave something out of it. And the whole concept for it, from the forensic evidence and investigation, is that if you put all this information together, you'll be able to find clues in order to do that. And that's why we find like lots of these criminals, they will try to bring more stuff to the scene or wrinkle more noise within the scene. So when the investigators start doing, investigation, they get lost into that. And this is the same concept of the SIM. So it's really about consuming huge amount of data to death, trying to find clues and detect attacks. And the SIM solution, requested to ingest a huge amount of data as possible, but it's really difficult. It's not being that efficient as everyone thought. And the notion of SOC became actually more into focusing on the cyber, which is finding and stopping attack and finding these cyber criminal. And this is where we're aiming to reach onto the fully autonomous SOC by hopefully 2025. So within the last 15 years, the SIM solution has focused on trying to ingest data as fast as possible and be smart also at scale, which is actually, it's impossible because it's at the two sides of the equation. So it's either can be fast or can be smart. It cannot really put it both. And that's why there is lots of use cases that really suffered because of that. So there is actually three architectural flows when it comes to the SIM. The first one is that they are always secondary recording tools, which mean they are always at the mercy of the other tools that bring the information to it. The second thing is the noise to signal ratio. So for every event, you will get hundreds of disconnected pieces of the data, and you need to really put these data and connect it at a huge noise. And the third one, the analogy that I use is what we call it puzzle pieces versus completed puzzle. So it's like you want to build an animal picture from a puzzle pieces. However, you don't know that animal. You have never seen it before. So the processing between the puzzle pieces and the images is, adds overhead to the whole process for the team. And it becomes more and more challenging to create and build it in real time, which is not good because you really want to stop attack as fast as possible. And these are what we see, the main major flaws when it comes to SIM solution. But please, I'm not saying here like you have to give your SIM solution. No one will do, neither I will. And there is lots of use cases that the SIM solution can add value for organization. And that's why the title of my session is how you can leverage multiple tools to reach to the use cases that you really want to build. And there is different use cases, and I tried to put the top 10 at least here, which is related to compliance and reporting, SOC hygiene, long term to build a complete story reconstruction. For example, if you want to know about the breach last weekend, who was involved, or who tried to log into a system multiple times, what system has been involved, and you really needed to have this long-term information, which is usually the SIM very useful in order to get that. Even some organization, they connect it to the NOC, and they bring more IT context to the SIM. But the rest, start to get fuzzy, and it become more progressively more cybersecurity. And this is where technologies such as EDRs come handy on board. So there is lots of great EDR in the market. There is no doubt on that. I can't speak about Cybereason for sure, what's good about our technology or bad. However, my presentation is actually more about the whole industry. And the entrance of the EDR has really changed the game. So these instruments started to look into new data types. It started to look to and track more other key information, behaviors, and would provide the security team the ability to select what we're looking for when we really need it. So we don't have to look, getting the puzzles and not the puzzle pieces. So you can think now about rendering into data structure to understand who did what, when, and where. What's the primary mission? What's the ability to lower, the noise to signal ratio, and how you can help the analyst to move into the center of the process and be able to make, an actionable outcome from these technology. And the new data structure don't really need everything. It's just need, the relationship between different data point, and try to preserve and build the context around it. And most of these solutions can offer that. It varies from for sure solution to others. For example, it provide a better interface, to provide you with more flexibility on the analysis. It can help you do the job. Some tools you don't have to spend a huge amount of time to learn it or master this tool, so the team can immediately, instead of spending a couple of weeks just to learn the tools, they can immediately start using the tools with just like 1 or 2 hours of orientation. So it's really being able to focus on the task, not the tool, being able to pivot between the data and not to wait for hours just to get the result from similar to existing technology, and be able to close, the response into more a near real-time possibility, so it become more even fun for the security team when they engage with that. And also there is a quite interesting tool also is emerging, which is the SOAR. So sure, it's a vital role to play, and as a human, we are always being better in communicating, in collaborating, and even orchestration as a species, and that's how we really dominated the Earth. Unfortunately, we're doing more harm than good into this planet. But really, communication and collaboration is a crucial part when it comes to cybersecurity. So it's not about SIM versus EDR or EDR versus SOAR. It's more about how SIM, EDR, and SOAR can really collaborate with each other, in order to evolve and communicate better and achieve better results for the organization. So I brought back the top use cases, the 10 use cases that we discussed earlier. And what I did here is to flag each use case based on the residual risk, meaning is it IT security or whether it's more cybersecurity and fighting the opponents. And what I did here is I put the 3 tools from the ESM, the EDR, the SOAR, and I consider there is an integration between them and they can seamlessly communicate and so forth. So we can see the SIEM has a major role to play, usually over things more IT security related than cybersecurity, mainly where there is large amount of volume of data at scale needed, where ingestion and time to digest and produce things really matter. Where EDR is timeliness is crucial, data structure, data type, the signal to ratio as 1-to-1 or the signal to action as low as possible, and getting the analyst get the job done and be able to detect the cyber criminal. And if, I would love, if you can take a screenshot, this is our opinion, would love to get your feedback, your experience on that, and how even you apply maybe other frameworks in order to use such technology. Like if you're using MITRE framework, if you agree or disagree, I would love to know more details on that. However, when we're really dealing about cyber function, it's really important to run with 4 things. I think the first one is really minimizing the noise and preventing the alert fatigue. So reducing the false positive, reducing the disruption to business, getting the right data in front of your analyst to be able to hunt and try to prevent the preventable as much as possible, the ability to look behavior, the ability to stop viruses. And it's not about, getting back to normal. It's really about understanding how this virus, for example, reached there, how to make sure it will not happen again. And stopping, the viruses, it's normally prevention task. This is where IT function hygiene works. However, understanding where the virus is happening, doing the hunting around it and pivoting around it, this is what really makes the cybersecurity a fun practice. The second point is really about detecting as fast as possible. With context across a lot of different platforms, having the ability to understand where the attack in which life cycle it is, the ability to get people in your SOC be able to function and work as fast as possible, and be able to visualize what really matters and build context according to what really matters. And the third point is rapidly coordinating responses, both into the remediation processes and the tool, the quarantine, the undo or the do's, and to make sure that you will not achieve harm for the patients. Like sometimes the patient here, we're talking about the IT in the organization, but also I need to be able to communicate it. I need to be able to tell actually what's happened. I need to go to my board and explain exactly what's going on in a board-friendly communication that they can understand and consume and make a decision based on that. And if you need to remediate it and respond, it should be clear in plan, and you can fix it in a much easier process. And the last point is really automation. So I would always recommend automate as much as possible whenever you can. Try to reach to a world-class enterprise. And this is, here we are saying, behavior whitelisting, blacklisting, building strong queries, the SOAR, the SIEM integration, all play a major role when it comes to that aspect. So I brought an example, actually, one of the cases for a friend of mine who tried to build his own SOC. So he built the SIEM solution with 5 people, and then they were faced with increasing cost from about $750K to over $5 million of cost. And their best case was a second-rate incident response function. So what we said is like, well, don't do it with your SIEM. And if you really want to scale it to 10x, that's going to be insane. The cost will be shooting to the roof. So instead, we really recommended to explore, integrating multiple tools like the EDR, the SOAR, and make it all work together in a proper way to reach to what they're looking for. And this is actually what became interesting. So you can see the different options that we saw when they started to move. So they moved from what we call it a SIEM-based approach to what we recommended it, a mix between different technology. They moved from 3 incidents per analyst per day to 5 incidents per analyst per hour, which is a tremendous shift in terms of the productivity team. They managed to improve their false positive tremendously, lower their false negative, lower their true negative, and even the security team operating in that sort become, they have a low burnout when it comes to the operation. And they provided them the ability to scale even a much higher level compared to what they were supposed to have at the moment. Also, a couple of additional points that I would love to touch on is the AI, the artificial intelligence. There is no doubt it's a misused term. I think now it's becoming a very sexy term in order to include it in any cybersecurity brochure for marketing. Are we there? I think things are evolving. Things are going into that direction, but very, very minimal vendors, and they can claim and prove that they really do a true AI on that. Most of the cases, it's more about the machine learning. It's more about the supervised learning, the unsupervised, the reinforced learning, and the different algorithm they try to deploy to learn on the existing data. So I think there is still a room for development into that aspect. And there is still lots of work to be done into that way. Additional important points that, when we look to cybersecurity that it's worth to take consideration is, first of all, if you become more predictable on how you react to things and how your processes operate, cyber criminal can learn that, and they will be able to find ways on how they can surpass that. If they understand how your machine learning works, they can start developing their techniques in order to evade these capabilities. So always, try to validate whenever you work with vendors, understand how they operate. Trust what they're telling you, but also try to verify it, test it, experience it, and see how it works. Try to understand how it really works, because that can tremendously impact how you can operate and how you can function. Try to be less predictable, because cyber criminals are becoming more and more interested on understanding how you function, how you operate, and by knowing how you react, they can design their approach in order to evade that. And always try to be careful on blind spot. There is still lots of technology that creates blind spot, and with blind spot, it creates lots of opportunity for these cyber criminal in order to misuse that. And this is actually, bring us to the part where we say, like, we really need to bring all these tools together. So the main purpose of the session is to show the value of including multiple tools for your SOC, and how that can impact your operation, your performance, and productivity to really reach to a future SOC. And these three are needed in terms of the SIEM, the EDR, and SOAR. However, and as we discussed, each one, it will add its own value. But there is also additional tools, like you can add the ticketing tools, you can add forensic tools, and so forth. And as long as you see and focus on improving the process, it's really very crucial element to focus on. Focus on improving it, refining it, and get the people at the center of the SOC, not the tool, to make things operate and function into the right way. And this is actually bring us to the end of my presentation. So I hope it's been useful. I hope it's valuable for you and your organization and your stakeholders. I would love to get your feedback on it, on whatever you agree or disagree. It's always a good topic to discuss. And at the end, I really want to thank Westcon Comster and the audience for giving us the opportunity. And please don't forget that we're going to have an upcoming quiz about my presentation, and I really wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Perfect. That was really well done and nice and smooth.
That is nice and smooth indeed, Alex. Agreed.
All good?
Thank you, Alex, for that. Yes. So we can proceed on your teaser now. This won't take so much time. I'll just have a quick script here. This one, Tarek, this will be on our social media. So I just want you to invite our partners. Just have to say, hi, I am Tarek, your designation from Cybereason, and then just have to mention, join me at Imagine Middle East, then to explore the topic that you just mentioned on your presentation.
Okay.
Cool?
Any links I can provide on joining the session?
Yeah. If you want to mention that, you can mention join me at, just give me.
So it will be great if you can provide me pictures I can add to it.
Yes. So you can just say, join me at Imagine Middle East on 10th and 11th November. Then just say to explore what Cybereason is offering. Just give me 1 second.
But like, for example, let's say if someone is reading this link, this on the social media post, and he wants to join, how he can join. So I think we should add
It's in our post. It's included on our post, Tarek. So there will be a description before your video. Yeah. So it will be all mentioned there, all the details and all. Yeah.
So this is, I don't have to post it now. I will post it during the event.
No. This we will post. We will be handling this.
Okay.
This is video. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we just need the recording from you to then edit it.
Say this recording.
Yeah.
Okay. So just a minute then.
Sure.
Let me copy exactly the title.
It doesn't need to be exact as per my script. Whatever you're comfortable with, as long as you mention to join you at the event, Imagine Middle East, and then
Just
Okay.
a 10 second, 20 second little chat.
You can also invite them to register, something like that. Up to you.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that this is Tariq Kuzbari. Join me and Imagine Middle East on the 10th and 11th of November. I'm gonna be presenting our point of view on the right role of the EDR SIM and SOAR by defining the chaos and the corporate risk, something like that, right?
Yes, that would be fine. That would be good. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Alex,
tell me when you want, and we can go through it.
Perfect. Jay, I'm just going to put you in the back. And then just give it like a 2-second little pause again, and then over to you.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Tariq Kuzbari. I'm the Regional Director of Cybereason. Join me at Imagine Middle East on the 10th and 11th of November to explore the right role of the SIM, EDR, and SOAR technology, and how you can define the chaos and the corporate risk within the current environment. Thank you very much.
cool. That's smooth also.
That's good.
Yeah. All right. So thank you so much, Tarek.
Thank you very much. Alex, we cannot hear you. So
You're muted, Alex.
on mute. So you were talking, but we will.
Sorry, thank you. No, you were absolutely fantastic. That was perfect.
Thank you very much.
Very
Please
smooth and quick one.
check the recording. If anything else needed, just tell me. I can make myself available so we can go through it. So it shouldn't be an issue.
No problem, Tarek.
Perfect.
We will
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you so much. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks very much, gentlemen. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Jay. Have a good day.
Thanks. Cheers. Bye.
You too. Bye.